And I have said that carbohydrate is you have to stop that. And actually, is carbohydrate bad to humans? Not exactly. If you know the I Ching, you know that everything has a yin and yang side. Okay, and that thing will be perfect if it's have both yin and yang properties. And the carbohydrate is exactly like that. So to me, everything has an answer, but to science, maybe many things are unknown. Just like the hen and the egg, which comes first, the hen or the egg. So it's too difficult for them to understand. That means the power of man has come to an end in this question. And science is the power of man. If it's come to an end, so what shall we do? We'll just have to rely on the God, okay? God knows the answer. In in the Bible, there's the first woman is Eve, okay, and and her first son is Cain. So who came first? Of course, it's Eve, okay, or who will bleed to Cain, her first son, or who will bring the son up. Okay, if you have a child in the wild, nobody there, and your mother is gone because God has created Cain before Eve, can he survive? No. Okay, so it must be the mother first, and before the her son. Is as simply as that. Okay, when we come to the carbohydrate, is it good or bad? Because we have been eating it for a long time. How can it be bad? So, my answer is the carbohydrate is good and is also bad. Then who can have the answer? Well, there's at least, if yeah, the science cannot tell the difference. So we get back to God and ask for the question, ask for the answer. Now this time I would try to find another God to answer it. It's the ancient Greek god SPHINX. Okay, there's also the lion in Egypt. Also the same god, SPHINX, and he has two riddles. He asked the people who want to pass by and enter the temple, but he protected the temple and asked two riddles. The first riddle is, there's a creature. When he walks in the morning, he uses 4 legs, and in the noontime he used 2 legs to walk, and in the afternoon he used 3 legs to walk. I think everybody has heard about this riddle. Then what is it to do about carbohydrate? Okay, now we goes to the real God, okay, for the answer. And Jesus has said that as a kind of vegetable seeds. Okay, if you throw it onto the rock, it will not grow. But if you throw it into the earth, wow, it will. The smallest seeds on earth. I can't remember the name, but that's the Jesus said. Okay, smallest seed, but it grows to a big vegetables. So this is the core of the seeds. Okay, the backdrop. All seeds are small, but it grows to big things. So this is the purpose of life, and God created it have these properties. So when a baby is born, it's so small, okay, only a few pounds. And as I studied the COVID-19, I know that from the research, the baby, when he is born, the lung volume is only 40 cc. Well, but he can cry out so loudly, still survive by 40 cc. You knew about a man's lung volume? In involuntary mook, there's two mook. One is involuntary, one is voluntary. Involuntary mook is already 700 cc. Okay, and by voluntary mook, it becomes 6,000 cc. 700 cc is the engine size of those small Japanese van, so small, like a bread. Okay, they call it a bread van. It's 650 cc, and the Rolls Royce 6,800 cc. So you live in both worlds. Okay, at night when you sleep, you use the involuntary breathing. You could drive a small Japanese van, but during exercise, you drove your Rolls Royce. As simple as that. Okay. So you know that you cannot say this thing is big or small. It's only a comparison, or in different mode only. So when a baby is small, it doesn't mean it's forever small. It has to grow up to a human size, with the size of the lung as a Rolls Royce, not as say a small cart, 40 or 50 cc. It will grow. So what core is this? Okay, it's the same core as the seeds. Seeds has the properties of from the very small to the big. So it's the carbohydrate is very suitable for a growing child, as long as, well, it's when you mature. So it's the right food for them. In nowadays recommendations of the fasting or any kind of dietary method, they never mention that method is suitable for what kind of creature to use. 4-leg creatures, 2-leg creatures, or 3-leg creatures. Einstein invented the fourth dimension, which is the time. But human just ignore this qua. It's hanging out there, the time. Nobody cares. So even mature people, he continue to eat these seeds products, all carbohydrates, especially those produced from seeds, like the bread, the rice. Okay. They all have this qua. They will grow to very big, but people just ignore it. They continue to eat the carbohydrate after they are matured. Okay? And what happens? They become obesities. Okay? From say 170 to 450 pounds. like a baby grows up again. So when you pass the up to the noon, from the 4 legs, well, then you are now 2 legs. You're fully matured. Then you should be thinking about reducing the carbohydrate. I know it's good to you, but when you are 2 legs time, you have to consider, or you will be quickly become 3 legs or back to 4 legs with the wheelchair. Okay, and this is science would not know. Only an SPHINX will try to find out the truth. And also, the seeds itself is a special creation from God, because it's supposed to be eaten. Okay, eaten, but cannot be digested because it's protected by its also protected by the membrane. It's shelled, has substances that will reduce your digestion enzymes to digest them. So the fruits, they are designed to be very delicious, edible, beautiful colors, just to attract you to eat it. But you cannot eat their seeds because you cannot digest them. And you will expel them through the stool, okay? And then it will fall to the ground together with your stool, and that will give them the nutritions to survive on Earth. Okay, that's the natural process. That's another qua. Okay, but people ignore this process again. Those scientists, they remove the membrane of these seeds. They refine them to the white rice. It's even more easily to digest them. Over millions of years, humans have never been digesting so refined carbohydrate before. So it's highly absorbable, and you have to pump out a lot of insulin in order to quickly absorb this high GI valued food. It's the new kind of food. We human never experienced this before. So it's very bad to our health. Okay. And if you still wants to eat this rice, okay, I can recommend you to a kind of a rice which is very poor in in GI. The one of a poor region in the world. Where is it? It's India. Okay, India is a poor. It's another Gua. Okay, they're poor. The men are poor. I mean, except a few millionaires. Basically, many people are poor there. So even their the production, their rice production is poor in GI value. So in India, you seldom saw some fat guys because the rice is poor. The rice is called basmati rice, mainly produced in Pakistan. So you can, if you really cannot decrease your rice suddenly, you may think, well, to use a low IG one, a GI one, the basmati rice, that's a very low triggering of the insulin. And for noodle, I guess you have to change to other kind of noodle without wheat inside. In Hong Kong, there are many. It's called fish noodle. Actually, it's made by fish meat. they ejected it as a noodle shape, so you can still have the feeling of eating noodles. But for bread, is no other alternatives. Before we have that, because to use the whole wheat rice, the whole wheat bread, because whole wheat means it still has the membrane on it, and it's mixed together, grounded, so it already contains the matters preventing you to absorbing the wheat of the bread. But unfortunately, all whole wheat bread is a lie. Okay, as I can say, there's no more whole wheat bread unless you make it yourself. Okay, and that's impossible. I've been to China before when I am a child, only 12 years old. At that time, China's is like Song Dynasty, 1,000 years ago. No electricity, no any kind of seafood civilization symbols like modern world. At that time, the people eat. My relatives eat the whole coined bread produced by whole coin. And well, the moment they are made, I mean, just wow, hot and they're soft, and then quite delicious. But after when they cool down, hard as a rock. The whole coin or whole wheat bread is hard as rock when it is dry cool down. But this can be kept for a very long time, for maybe for 1 to 2 years. maybe longer than that. So I don't think you can adapt to the whole wheat bread. So they have to just pretend that to be whole wheat, unless you do it by yourself, and you can't buy whole wheat, unprocessed wheat, not easy to buy. Maybe America they have that. So funny. I hope you understand why, because it's like now this is the center. Your growing is like this, your physical growing. When you pass the noon time, you are declining. So it's up to your age. Carbohydrate is good for this climbing, for the kids. So don't stop carbohydrates for the kids. Okay, just stop the carbohydrate of yourself. Don't listen to others. Fasting is good. I mean, fasting is bad. Surely bad for children. This will affect the future, their organs, and so on. Okay, only a mature person can fast. Okay? Well, it's like the Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine is trying to make you upright. Okay, but now I have to share it in another clip. But this time I want to show is the curve that goes ups and down. Okay, and there's supposed to be another curve going down last year, and then this year, the January. So why the spring is called a spring? Spring is when it falls to the ground and then it springs back. Okay, springs back again after the noon, and then it falls down again. So this is why autumn is called fall. Why autumn is fall? No, only an SPHINX would try to figure it out. Okay. And in the human calendar, January is another strange name, isn't it? But if you try to search in internet, the Wikipedia, you will know January actually is an Asian god with two faces, back and front, because it's the moon, the month that is going looking forward and looking backward, maybe for reflection, I don't know, but it's hesitating. So the weather is also like that, because it's coming from the winter and then to the spring. Okay, but it's still hesitating. So the temperature will rise and fall, rise and fall. This is the Goha. Okay, and why COVID happens in January? This is another thing I think about. Just because of this qua, this back and forth. Okay, because it's uncertain. Humans is uncertain going back or to the forward. I mean, Donald Trump is clever. He said that the world will never be the same again after this COVID. He's right. So, to identify whether your sickness is COVID. One very important symptoms is your body peripheral temperature. It will go suddenly up, suddenly down. You feel suddenly cold, suddenly heat. Okay, and this is the special symptoms that this kind of virus will have. Thank you.